Well, good afternoon, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Good to have all of you with us for tonight's presentation, how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. We're going to get started formally in about 5 minutes, but I always like to take this opportunity, get the class started, make sure all the technology's working, the audio, the video, and all that great stuff. So for those of you that are already with me, do me a favor. If you can just very quickly type yes in the chat, and the chat is in the lower corner of the GoToWebinar control panel. If you can hear my voice, and more importantly, if you can see my screen, it should say on air. Just give me a quick shout out in the chat window. That way I know that everything is working well. I always like to start it early for this reason. I did one of these earlier today, and I forgot to start the YouTube stream, so I was able to catch that before I got too far into the class, which was nice. All right, so for those of you that are early, I see a couple of you joining us, David and Giles and Kathleen, good deal. And Sis, welcome to you as well. And I see another couple folks chiming in. Yes, yes, 5x5, awesome, excellent. Well, like I said, we're going to start formally here in just about, I'd say about 3.5 minutes or so. But I just, again, as you join in, if you could let me know that you see my screen, hear my voice, that would be great. And then also, what time is it by you? I'm just kind of wondering where you're from. Are you, in the same time zone I am? It's almost 5 o'clock here in Ohio. Are you California? Are you Eastern, Pacific, over in Europe? I saw Montreal earlier, so that's kind of nice. Renata and Michael, 457, awesome. So cool. Looks like a lot of you are in my time frame. A couple of you guys out, well, I'm assuming out west. It could be, well, I know it's out west. I know that if it's 2 o'clock out there, it's out west. It could be California, it could be Oregon, could be anywhere. 2 p.m. in Vancouver, awesome. New Jersey, 457, 458, awesome. So it looks like we got mostly North America so far. That's cool. Every now and then we get some Australians in here and some latecomer or some Europe folks. It's really late at night there. Awesome. And then also, I'm kind of curious. What do you do for a living? Retired, still working? I ask this because, you know, I originally developed the techniques you're going to learn today really as kind of something for a retiree that can generate additional income where you're not sitting in front of your computer all day long. But what I found over the years is I have clients all over the spectrum. So let me know in the chat box. What do you do for a living? You're retired? I can, it's kind of funny when I say I designed this for the retiree. I'm 48 years old. I'm far from retired. Well, I don't want to say too far. I'm closer to retirement than I was to graduating from school. I guess I'll put it that way. But it's kind of funny, and I'll talk more about this as we go forward. Um, you know, I used to be a very active trader, a day trader, in fact, and I stopped doing that over a decade ago, probably 15 years now. And I wanted something a little bit more simple. I didn't want to sit in front of the computer all day either. So it kind of worked out that my trading style also aligned with kind of a retiree mindset. As I get older, I tend to get more and more and more conservative. So I see retired registered nurse, awesome. Semi-retired. My wife's a nurse practitioner, so very similar. Cool. So it looks like, the vast majority are retirees. That's great. I would like to be there at some point, so that's good. But looks like some semi-retired, some workers, awesome. Love to see it. So good. We got a lot of, it looks like a very North American, United States, Canada so far. And it looks like the majority are on the East Coast is with me. There's some of you out West. And it looks like the majority of folks are retired. That's great. Like I said, I just like to see, I like to get a demographic for who I'm talking to. It's kind of nice to, kind of wheel the seminar in those places that I can wheel it into certain directions to kind of hit most of the people. So, all right. Well, it is time to get started. It is 5 o'clock. So, without any further ado, let's get started on today's webinar. And it's called How to Generate 3% per Month with One Option Trade per Week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest to help you generate income in any market. And the information I'm going to share with you has not only changed my life, I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more. Now keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction, bullish or bearish. Little to no prior experience with options. You can do it safer than simply buying and selling stocks, and it's something that you can implement very, very quickly. Now, I know may sound too good to be true. You might be thinking, well, is this legit? And you'd want some proof. Well, I would too if I were you. Because I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of, these Instagram models, getting millions of dollars and trading crypto and all that stuff. That's just all BS. I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. This is my last complete year of trading in 2023. I trade a real money account with my clients, and each week we place live trades together. The paycheck system we used made over 37 grand in our $100,000 account, and that was an average of 3.1% per month. And I want you to notice a couple things. Number one, okay, you're not making money every single month. You're going to average about 3% per month when you factor in all 12 months together. I actually lost money last year in January, started the year off with a deficit, made the money back in February plus another couple $1,000, had some drawdown in March, made about 2% in April, had some drawdown in May, and then everything kind of turned around really well for the rest of the year. Made about almost 10.5 or 10.8% in September, December. This is how it's going to work. You're going to have a profit curve for the year that kind of looks like this. You'll make money, you'll have some drawdown, it'll go up, you'll have some drawdown, go up, drawdown, go up, drawdown. But this is how a real trading system works. Okay? You're going to notice that my win rate last year, I think my win rate was rather low last year at 59%. I'm a little disappointed in that. But my average winner of $1,000, my average loser of $1,000 is perfect. That's what I like to see. I like to have a high win rate with an average winner and loser very, very close together. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you all so far, all the way through the first complete 6 months of this year, because unfortunately, I'm having an issue with my results software. So for February and March, for the first quarter of this year, I was up around 10%. Through April, May, and June, I added another couple of percentage points. April, May, and June have not been, as good as February and March. It's kind of been a little more sideways as the market's changed trend and gone sideways a little bit. So I've added like maybe another 2% through these 3 months. And I'm probably up around 12, 15% for the year so far. But my win rate, about 57%. You can see the average winner and average loser so far right about the same at 87 and 755. So, still so far this year, things are going pretty okay. So I'm pretty happy with those results, up about, like I said, about 12 to 15% so far this year overall. I've been teaching this technique to students since 2016. And one of my recent students sent me this email back in December. He said, "Hey, Ron, just want to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method, tracking my performance, and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement." And I love to hear that. There's also a lesson for you. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this like I do. You can start small while you learn and practice, but it builds up quickly. For example, if you started with 5 grand and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years puts you over $1 million. And if you started with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than 5 or 25,000, you'd get there much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you today. We're going to talk about a few of them. Now, these are real people just like you. And as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find that you're in a very similar position now as they were when they first started. My name again is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the Options Income Coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. I got my start back in 97. Now, when I first started, for the first couple of years, I had mostly losses. Now, the reason I was losing was because, like most people, I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. If I bought something, now I was a day trader back then, I traded commodities, commodity futures, but if I bought something, it had to go up for me to win. If I short sold something, it had to go down for me to win. Now, once you learn how to trade directionally and you kind of get an idea of if the market's going to go up or down, then you got to start worrying about risk, right? It's no good if I'm 60% right, but every winning trade I'm making 500 and all my losers I'm losing 2,000. It's not going to work. So there's a lot of things to juggle as a winning trade, as a trader, right? A big aha moment came to me though when one of our clients who was a hedge fund manager came to our office. He showed me the secrets to how the institutions trade and make money. Long story short, he showed me the inside secret to using options. Now, I was not an options fan. I didn't like options at all. So it was very interesting to me. He showed me that you could place trades that even if you're wrong, you think something's going to go up, but it doesn't, you could still make money. He also showed me how options can control your risk tremendously. Think of the pressure that takes off you. He showed me how to stack probability using options and control my risk. The beauty is, you don't even have to be right to make money. As one of my clients always told me, he's like, Ron, I love options because you don't have to be right. You can just be a little bit right to make money. Now, in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you some case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'll show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategy, you can do the exact same thing. If you stay with me to the end, I put together a little checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF, and I'll put it right in the handout section to GoToWebinar. Drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it today. But remind me when we get to the Q&A section, because at the end, after about an hour of talking, I typically forget to do it, okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If we're not retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a big impact on our life, our health, even our relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you could fill it, especially with how inflation's been the last 3-4 years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. Now, with a system that helps you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay attention and write it down. If you want to be financially free, your main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skills that you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This is going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. So as I said, and I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian is a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Brian had some health problems. He needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits and started with just $6,000. He said he had 31 of 31 winning trades using our most basic system. Now, the point of this is this. It's not beginner's luck. It's the result of following the system. That system is what helped him get those winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit, starting with just that $6,000 in 10 months. Now, the first thing you need to do to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, why do you want to be the casino or the house? Well, you've heard the expression, the house always wins, right? Well, the reason that they always win is because they control and they stack probability in their favor. The options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the first step of this is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he had taken mainly stock tips from his broker, and he focused on our SPX income system, which is really our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time that he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100,000 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And he said the whole thing takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call option. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do. But what ends up happening a lot of times? The stock doesn't go up, it doesn't go up enough, and the call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel the problem is they picked the wrong stock. Maybe the wrong strike price of their option, or maybe even the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. It's how you can win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. But instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. And probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock just to go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go down to here, I can make money. Think about this. This stock's $204 that I'm showing you. You pick a price at 195. Now, as long as the stock simply stays above 195, you make money. It can go up, you make money. It goes sideways, you make money. The stock can even come down a little bit, and you still make money. Right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you can even increase that probability even more. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. Now, we do a lot of our trades starting off with a 70% chance of success. You can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And that's why I call this an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. Remember Bruce? He continues to trade with us every week. In fact, he posted this in our private group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of financial freedom. Another of our clients, Mike, he was someone who dabbled with options, but said he lost on each of his trades. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each of your trades? Eventually, he just gave it up. He tried to learn more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He had all this option knowledge, but no set criteria of how to use it. So we worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he became an income machine. After learning the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12 grand in 4 months. Now, the key lesson here is that shift from buyer or the gambler to the option seller, or what we call the house. And that turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his results, he sent me this spreadsheet. Here's his results. Notice the number of winners compared to losers. Typical. Also notice the length of trades. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 11. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. Now, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you could begin by trading the SPX index, which is the S&P 500. This involves only one trade per week, And compounded returns, it's averaged over about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. Now, also notice, like we talked about earlier, right? You're going to have periods where you're up, you're going to have some drawdown, the market's going to go up, you're going to make money, you're going to have some drawdown. That's how it works. We're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's the key takeaway. Home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. That's what we're about. We're about high probability, low risk trades. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things you want to do. So you've seen by simply flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to stack the odds even further in your favor by understanding and capitalizing on the three most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number one is that option buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away the stock has no chance of hitting it. Here's a stock. Let's say someone was bullish on this stock. A lot of mistakes option buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way up here, right? The stock's at 215. For them to make money, the stock's got to go to 230. That's ridiculous. Why do they buy these options if the stock has little chance of hitting it? It's because they're cheap. Most buyers treat options like lottery tickets, and most of the time they lose. They're like the gamblers. Now, since there's always buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. In other words, this. If I sell somebody a $230 option on a $216 stock, as long as the stock doesn't hit $230, I make money. Okay? I make money. Now, the same goes for the other side of the trade, down here with puts. There's always going to be people out there who buy them. Okay? They might buy these puts down here as cheap lottery tickets, or they might be using it as insurance for their stock. It doesn't matter why they do it. Okay? The fact is, there's always buyers out there who buy them. Since there's always going to be buyers out there, we need to sell it to them. Selling these options will give us a 60 to 90% probability of success. Stocks at 216. As long as it doesn't go below 200 bucks in the next 10 days, I can make money. The second mistake that buyers make is they choose options that are just simply too close to the current date. It's like when you go to a grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but unless you cook it tonight, it's going to be worthless soon. And the same is true for options. So what you see here is you see an option that's 6 months from expiration in the upper left-hand corner. And then as this graph is starting to move lower and lower and lower, that's the value of your option. As the option gets closer and closer to expiration, the value starts to decline. Notice right about here is when it really starts to decline. Over 135 days, the option lost half its value, but in the last 45, it lost the remaining value. Now, a lot of option buyers buy options in this window right here because they're cheap, they're inexpensive, the premium's not worth as much, but they're stacking their probability against them. What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of that and we're going to sell options in this window instead of buying them. Now, to be more specific, and you can kind of remember this as we go through the process, we're going to be selling options that are 21 to 45 days to expiration. That's our sweet spot of where we're going to sell our option. Now, to put this kind of in another way here, this is a graph of Home Depot. Again, most buyers, they go out maybe a month, month and a half, and they buy their options, right? That expiration is too close. Notice how the value of the option is decaying exponentially as you get closer to expiration. This is really, really bad for an option buyer. Their option, even if the stock goes up, it's losing all of its value because it's so close to expiration. That's bad. But not bad for me. I'm an option seller, not a buyer. This decay, this time decay works in my favor. Again, there's always going to be people out there buying these options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gamblers. You be the casino. You're going to win more in the end. Now, the third mistake that a lot of option buyers make is they pay too much. They buy an overpriced option. This is very, very important because a lot of people don't understand this one. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Here's two stocks. want you to notice at the top, they're basically the same price stock, 76 something. They're about 12 cents apart, right? But even though both stocks are right around $76, look at the option premium. Same strike, same expiration, same days to expiration, everything the same. The option on the left is $910 in premium. The option on the right is $180. Why are they so different? It's different because the option on the left has very high volatility. It's extremely overpriced. Buyers who buy those options are paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? What's the big deal? Well, this is the best way I like to describe this. My kids love strawberries. Okay? I can go through 7-8 pints of strawberries a week easily. Now, typically, strawberries cost me about $2.50 a pint. I live in Ohio, so I don't pay ridiculous prices for things just based on where I live. Now, prices of strawberries fluctuate. I've paid as little as $2. I've paid as high as $4.50. Okay. And again, I know I'm in Ohio. Some of you guys in like California are paying way more than that, but hey, Midwestern guy here. All right. Now, does it matter that I buy a $2 quart of strawberries or a pint of strawberries for a $5? Well, other than they cost more, there's really no difference for my kids. They taste the same, they eat the same, they go through them the same, right? It's just costing me more money. There's no downside other than the money. When you buy an expensive option, it's different because I want to show you what can happen. Let's pretend that both of these stocks go up $8 a share. Think about that. If you bought 100 shares of each of these stocks, you'd have made $800 each. But you're smart. You're an option trader. Why are you an option trader? Because you like the leverage, you like the minimum risk, you like the everything about options, right? So you go out there and you buy a call. Well, that overpriced option on the left would have been a losing trade. You got direction right and you lost money. Over on the right, you got direction right and you made about 300% return on your money. What was the difference? Volatility. You just didn't pay attention. You paid too much premium for that option on the left. Now, that option on the left is actually a good trading opportunity, but it's a good trading opportunity for the seller. What we do as option sellers is we search out and seek these overpriced, expensive options to sell them. Because the more premium that I can collect when I sell an expensive option, the lower amount of monetary risk I have on the trade. It limits my risk even more. And if it's really expensive, I can even increase my probability even more. And I'll explain how that works a little bit later on. You're stacking probability on your side even more. That's the beauty of this. Now, one of our most interesting stories I've seen is from Bob. He said prior to working with us, he made a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he either ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. He said in 4 months, he grew his account by 71%, and he achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Well, let me ask you, in the chat window, I want you to share with me. Have any of you ever made these buyer's mistakes before? Any of these mistakes? Just do me a favor. Type a yes or no in the chat window. It doesn't have to be a long detail. Just yes or no. All right. John and Sean, David, Minaj. David, you said you're too afraid to do anything. That's all right. Michael never did options. I will tell you this. For those of you that have never traded options, you're in the right place because I will teach you how to do this properly from the ground floor. Okay, that's the beauty of it. You don't have any bad things to work through. You can just learn right from the beginning. Now listen, anybody who's traded an option has made these mistakes. This is why I didn't like options in the beginning, because everyone's made these mistakes. It wasn't my fault. I just didn't know how to trade options. I was taught a broken system. Now that you know that there's all these benefits to being an option seller, I want to look at how to trade with very little risk, because when a lot of people hear the word options, especially selling options, they think it's risky, like their heightened awareness comes in, right? With the options paycheck strategy, We use a low risk system for selling options. It's why it's a core strategy we teach to our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Well, most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. This is the horror story I hear from people that have tried this before without any proper system. Ron, I had a friend that did this, or I did this. I had like 3 months of winning trades, and then one trade came in, wiped out all my winners, right? Ugh, that's terrible, obviously. But it's terrible for two reasons. Number one, it's terrible because you don't want to lose money like that. But number two, it doesn't have to be that way. If you remember in my introductory slide, when I say, that gentleman that visited me from the hedge fund, option trades like this control your risk. You take care of risk management up front. I've never had this happen to me before. Do you want to know why? Not because I'm Ron Super Trader, although I like to think I'm pretty good at this point in my career. It's because I would never put myself in a position to take a trade that would do that. I would never put myself in a position. I can tell you, I'll give you guys an example. My wonderful wife, who's probably in the other room, so I'll try to say this softly. She hates the idea of me going up on the roof to clean the gutters because she's afraid I'm a klutz and I'll kill myself. Well, here's how I mitigate the risk of that. I pay somebody to do it. I'm not going to fall off the roof ever because I'm not going to put myself in a position to fall off the roof. Okay? Options trading is the same way. I would never put myself at risk of having one trade wipe out a bunch of winners. That's the thing. Because if this happens to you, it's very hard to recover. When you suffer a big loss, it takes a long time to come up from that. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. Okay? That's going to allow you to preserve your capital. When you can set up your trades properly, select the right stocks in a way that reduces risks, you're going to be able to grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, can I trade this in an IRA? And a client of ours, John, actually does. I actually have a small account in my IRA that I trade this stuff with. He grew his IRA over 100% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. He said he tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than double the size of his IRA. And in his words, spent no more than 15 minutes per day on the trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk, and we do this before we open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you would see here on this graph. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. The options paycheck system is going to shrink your risk to this. Now, early on, you saw that my average winning trade for 23 was 1,000. My average loser was 1,000. This year, you see it's 880, and I think it was like 700 for my losing trade. We're reducing risk. Let me explain how this trade works. This, again, is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable why you want to be bullish on something like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock basically right here. It's the current stock price. Or maybe you buy a call using the current stock price as the basis for your strike price. But we're not buyers anymore. We're sellers. So here's what we're going to do. If we think a stock is going to go up, we sell a put. We sell a put underneath the price of the stock. So in this case, the stock is around $138. I can sell a 135 put. I'll talk about how to choose the put here in a little bit. Okay? Now, when we sell that put, we are collecting premium. Now, if you've never sold an option before, let me kind of dig into this a little bit. When you sell an option, people have this conception of it's like when you sell a car, right? You sign the title over, the guy drives away in your car, you no longer have any responsibility for it. You cancel your plate, you cancel your insurance, your car is gone, right? Well, option selling is more like an insurance company, if you will. I pay my car insurance, right? I write them a check. I pay them a premium for the policy. Now, if I have an accident or have damage to my stuff, they will pay for it. They are contractually obligated to pay for it based on the premium I pay them. If I don't have any claims at the end of the period that I pay for, they keep the premium. I had protection. We both walk away pretty happy. Now, options very similar. When you sell a put, the contract that you're selling somebody says that if they want you to, you were taking on the obligation to buy the stock at 135. So there is a chance, though it's never happened to me in 15 plus years of option trading, there's a chance that I may have to buy this stock for 135. Now, if the stock stays up above 135, who cares? But if there's a catastrophic sell-off and the stock drops down to 100, I may have a problem. That's the problem. What if the stock drops to $100 a share overnight and I've got this contractual obligation now to buy the stock for 135? I have a huge loss. Unacceptable. So we're going to buy an insurance policy. What we're going to do is take some of the premium that we collected. Remember, when we sold the option, we made $200. We brought in $200 from premium. If I did it on 10 contracts, it'd be $2,000, right? But what I'm going to do is take some of that premium. I'm going to go down a little bit farther, and I am going to buy an insurance policy. And that's going to reduce my risk on this trade. So when I enter the trade, I'm going to sell a put, collect $200. In the same transaction, I'm going to buy a put and spend $100. The net result of that is I collect $100 on that trade. If I did the trade on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. The maximum profit that I can now make on this trade is $1,000. Okay, that's how I make it. Now, what is my theoretical risk here? The worst case scenario, let's say the market has some sort of a huge catastrophic failure. It's trading at 138. The stock opens up the next day at $100. I'm forced to buy the stock for 135. Now I own an insurance policy that I can turn around and sell that to somebody else for 130. I've limited my risk to $5. Now, in 15 plus years of options trading, I've never done that. Never had to do that. It's never happened to me. I've never taken a maximum loss on one of these trades. It just doesn't happen. Okay? We avoid these in a lot of different ways. Now, when you place this trade, this is the scenario that you've now created. If the stock goes up, okay, that's good. What's going to happen to your option trade is it's going to decay in price. That trade that you sold for $100 is going to be worth less and less every day. Now, the key thing about an option trade, an option spread like we're doing, these things trade like a stock, right? If you bought 100 shares of this stock for $138 a share, you're going to have maybe a profit target on the trade, right? You're going to have a profit target. You're going to have a stop in place. So if the trade goes too far against you, you're going to get out of the trade at some point, right? Option spreads are the same thing. We're going to have a profit target if the trade goes in our direction. We're going to have a stop to exit the trade to limit our loss. So if the market goes up, your option trade is going to make money. You sold it for $100. Now we can exit the trade later on for $70, $60, $50, $40. If the trade goes sideways, it's the same thing. The spread loses value. We can exit the trade later on at a lower price and make money. If the trade goes down too far below 135, we exit the trade and we take a small proportional loss, just like you would with the stock. Okay? That's how an option spread works. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to show you a few examples of some trades I do with my clients to give you a better understanding of how I set them up. So I want you to I'm going to show you some numbers now, so pay attention here. When the market is bullish, we're going to talk about bullish trades first. We're going to place bullish income trades. Now, earlier I told you how we select the options to sell. If you remember, I'm kind of building this now. We're selling options 21 to 45 days away, and we're going to sell an option that gives us at least a 60% probability of winning. That's the probability we use, okay? Now, this is an example of a trade I made last year, Pulte. It's a home builder, right? That's a good-looking stock. I mean, come on, that's bullish, man. This was back in June. Let's zoom in. The stock is trading at $76. Now, what I'm going to go do, because I think this stock is going to go up, I'm going to go out there into my options broker. I'm going to look at options expirations that are 21 to 45 days away. Now, here's the cool part. Options have a built-in probability, right? Most brokers show this. Pretty much every broker has a probability calculator, right? All brokers have this information. You may not know how to get to it, but they do. All right. I'm going to go out there and look. The stock's trading at $76. I go to my options chain and it says, remember, I think the stock's going to go up. So I'm going to look for puts that are underneath the stock price. A $75 put gives me a 56% chance to make money. All I need is the stock to stay above $55 or $75 a share, right there. Here's where the stock is at right now, that little dotted line. All I need for the next 7 to 10 days, okay, is the stock to stay above $75 a share. That's going to give me a 56% probability of winning, as long as it does that. Going down a little bit further, I see $73. That's going to give me a 73% probability of winning, because if I sell a $73 put, it just has to stay above there. And then all the way down here, I see a $70 option or a $70 put. To make money, it's just got to stay above here. Okay? Now let me ask you a question. Not knowing anything else about options trading, if I approached you and said, hey, would you rather have a 56% chance of winning, a 73% chance of winning, or a 91% chance of winning, which would you rather have? Not knowing anything else about options, nothing about risk, nothing about anything. All you see is I could be 91% right, 73% right, or 56% right. Which would you rather be? Exactly. Peter says 91% right. Everybody would. It's the one I would have chose. Here's the problem. 91% right is why a lot of traders have one losing trade that wipes out a bunch of winners. That's the kind of trade right there where I can make that $1,000, but when I lose 15,000. That's not good. What good is winning 90% of the time if that one winning trade is going to come in there and blow all your profits down? It's not good. Now, what we're looking to do is we are looking to compromise. I want at least a 60% chance of winning, but then I need to control my risk so I get into those scenarios where I can maybe make $1,000, but at worst, maybe lose $1,200 on my losing trades. Now, one thing you have to understand here about option selling is a lot of things are a little bit reversed here. When you buy a stock, you want to buy a stock for $1 and sell it at $3, right? As an option seller, you want to sell something and you want the price to move lower on your spread. So it's a little bit different. Now, if I told you as a buyer you could make $1,000 and risk $1,200, you probably wouldn't like that. That's because you don't have built-in probability like you have with an option sell. Okay? You don't have that probability. But when I can look and I can be 70% right, 7 times out of 10, I make $7,000. 3 times on the loss, all I do is lose $3,600. Probability says that I can trade at that risk level. So in this particular trade, the answer would be 73%. That's where we want to trade here. Okay? Now, this trade is called a bull put spread. In one transaction, I'm going to sell a $73 put and I'm going to buy a $70 put as my insurance leg. A bull put spread. Bull because the market's bullish, puts because I'm using puts, spread because I got two options with a $3 spread between the two of them. Now, when I took this trade, I got paid about $1,700. That's what I got paid when I took the trade. When I exited the trade, I got out of the trade and I made $876.18. So essentially what happened is this. When I entered the trade, I got paid $1,700. Okay? As the trade goes up, the value of that option spread declined. As it goes up, it goes from 1,700, now it's only worth 1,000. Now it's worth 800. And eventually I got out of it and took in an $876 profit. I essentially, and I'm just rounding here, I entered the trade, I got paid $1,700. Later on, I exited the trade and I paid the broker $850. So I was able to keep $850 of what they paid me, and I closed the trade and made money. Now, it's not exactly $850 because it's an uneven number, but I wanted to just kind of use even numbers here. Okay? Now, when the market is bearish, we flip the script. We place bearish trades. Target is a good example of this. Target was in a downtrend. It also, if you take a look at Target, it broke this big support level down here. I love that. Okay, when it breaks something like that, that's definitely a bearish move. So let's zoom in. Target's trading at about a 131, 130.93. Let's just round it to 131. That's where Target's trading right now. Now, if I think the stock is going to go down, I need to start looking at options above the price. I turn on my option chain and I see that I can sell a 135 and get a 64% chance to win. I can sell a 140 and get a 76% chance to win. I can sell a 145 and get an 85% chance to win. Okay, that means the stock's at 131. As long as it stays below 135 for, again, usually about 7 to 10 days, I can make money. If it stays below 140, usually for about 7 to 10 days, I can make money. If it stays below 145, usually for about 7 to 10 days, I can make money. Which option expiration, or which option would you choose? 135, 140, or 145? What do you guys think? Hey, oops, I screwed up my question box there. There we go. All right, so a lot of you are saying 140. A couple of you are saying 135. The big numbers are coming in at 135 and 140. Well, you're both right. For those of you that said C, you're correct. For those of you who said B, you're correct. Now, in a situation like this, what answer is the absolute right one? Well, what you're doing here is you're kind of building the trade. All right? Step number one, obviously we want to trade with a minimum of a 60% probability of winning. That's number one. Number two, we want it 21 to 45 days. Number three, we have to measure the risk and reward. Okay? What that means is this. I am going to sell the highest probability chance of winning I can get while maintaining the risk reward. A lot of times, that's going to be around the 60 percentile. Sometimes, though, if you remember that when I told you about overpriced options, sometimes options are expensive enough that I can even dig into the 70% range. Like in this case, I was able to choose 76%. Why? Because the premiums were very expensive. So if you would have sold the 135, you'd have been okay. If you'd have sold the 135, the 140, you'd have been okay. I tend to sell the option that gives me the most chance of success with the risk reward that meets my criteria. So this trade now is called a bear call spread. Bear because I'm bearish on the market. Calls because I'm using calls now. So I'm selling a 140 call and I'm buying a 145 call as protection in one transaction. Now, in this trade, when I sold it, I brought in about $1,500. So as the market goes down, I'm looking to make about half of that. So I'm going to exit the trade when I show a $750 profit. Well, that happened about 7 days later. And you can see the stock really didn't move down that much. It was like at 131. Now it's at like 127. So 131 to 127. So again, you got to kind of put your mind in a little bit of a reverse here. When I enter the trade, I get paid $1,500. When I exit the trade, I pay the broker $750. I get to keep the difference, and the trade is now closed. Done. That's how an option sell works. Now, if you're an option buyer, when I enter the trade and paid $1,500, if I exit at $750, that's bad. But I'm a seller now. Selling is reversed. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He kind of felt unsatisfied with that. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that must be better. Have you ever felt that way? There's something more out there that you're missing. He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and would provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said after learning the system of being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. As I said, 7 to 10 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all of your trades are generating income? Well, that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Think about that. Write it down. Write down your goals. What would it allow you to do if you could generate on average 3% a month? For those of you that are still working or semi-retired, full retirement, maybe travel more. My favorite, play more golf. I gave up golf for the most part for the last couple of years. I have young kids. I'm a late bloomer. I'm 48. I have a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So even though I live on a golf course, I gave up golf for a couple of years. I told my wife, a couple more years, I'm going to go back into it and golf a lot. She's like, good idea. She's like, you can take the kids with you. I'm like, yes, I can. My little golfers. So think about that. What would this allow you to do? How would it improve your life? And I see examples: retire, travel more, be more time with my grandkids. Exactly. This is doable. And it all starts from that shift from being the buyer or gambler to being the house or the casino. Okay. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. We put the odds of success in your favor. Okay. The house always wins in the end. Be the house. Now, let's put this together because I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who have implemented this system told me this is one of the most important things they learned. Why? Well, people ask me, how much time is it going to take me? If you're retired, you don't want a job, right? Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find how to pick the right stock, the right option strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out? Needle in a haystack, right? So many variables, you don't know what to do. You don't know where to look. What information? You're spending hours researching trades, going from guru to guru, in fact. Without a good system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But you need a system, and not just any system, a straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the piece of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then that 6th kind of ties it all together. We start at the top of the list with market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and they just go out there and start placing trades. But you're going to place trades that are either bullish or bearish depending on market direction. By doing this, you've narrowed your focus. So instead of looking at everything, you're only looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. Our options paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use to tell us the market's direction. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know or listening to the gurus on TV, it's not the best choice for this. What you want is to find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market is falling. Now, our options paycheck system saves a lot of time in 2 ways. We look at 2 primary things: fundamentals and price trend. So essentially the fundamentals of the company and the graph of the stock. We have pre-built searches built in our VectorVest platform, which we use instead of digging through all that data the institutions throw at you. Once you got your list of stocks, you want to find a way to select the best ones for option trading. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had in the upper end of the range. We don't stop there. We search out for those high volatility options. But to take even more risk out of the trade, we're going to filter out upcoming earnings. You know, when the stocks can really move, expirations to make sure they're in the sweet spot. Now, you can use tools from a broker to help. We happen to have a proprietary search which finds these candidates in really a matter of seconds. Now we got to set up the trade. We got to pick the one that has the highest probability of success. Remember, every strike price that you look at has a preset probability. Then we want to make sure it has the appropriate risk reward. Not every option trade that you look at is going to be an appropriate trade. You got to learn how to filter out the bad risk from the good risk. Okay? Next, before you place the trade, you got to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. You don't want to be sitting in your trades feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules in place to take profits at predefined levels, just like I showed you on the trades of today. These can be set up in advance with your brokers. And if a trade goes against you, we have an adjustment strategy that you can use that helps you minimize losses. And we know exactly when to exit the trade. I set that order up. It's in advance for me with my broker, so it happens automatically when it's time for me to take a loss. Everything is known up front. Last, you want a way to do it quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have great tools. IB has great tools. Thinkorswim has great tools. Fidelity has great tools. Okay, Tasty Trade has great tools. You might find some paid tools to be effective as well. For example, I like to use a proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a lot of time putting these trades together. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and we talked about Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding that proper balance between trading and free time. He said he didn't have that right balance, that work-life balance. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned 26 grand in profits in his first 4 months. Now, I want you to do this. I want you to take a pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're good at. So if you're good at trading stocks and you're good at that kind of stuff, put a star at market direction and stock finder. If you've never traded options before, obviously option selection is going to be a weakness. Trade setup. What I want you to do, judge yourself. What you're good at and what you need a little bit of work at. Don't overthink it. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to give yourself a judge of how good or where you need work at. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. I want you to share with me some of your areas you need to work on. Where do you need to work on? What areas are you weak on? First one I see is all of them. I've never done this before. All right, and again, I want to stress this. If you're new at this, you may be intimidated by what you're seeing me do today. Okay, don't be. Anytime you see something you're unfamiliar with, it might be intimidating. It's like the first time you step into an algebra class when you were younger, right? By the end of the class, you're good in it. We can teach you from the ground floor. So don't feel intimidated. I see trade management, option selection, all of them. John, trade selection or trade management tool selection, step 5 menage. Peter, option selection. Okay. So listen, that's not a right or wrong answer. It's somewhere that you need to look at to improve your chance of drawing income every month. Because once you get stars all the way down the list, you're going to be able to do this in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping in one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've had loss after loss, and even those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe ultimately you're just not where you want to be. Now today I showed you the secret to fixing that. Again, it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. And you could do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system, pardon me, to get consistent income every month. I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. You're now going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as those gamblers are out there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. Now, if you're like most people, you're wondering, how do I implement the options paycheck system in my portfolio now? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do absolutely nothing. Okay? Stay where you are right now. And if you already have enough money to retire, you're not really worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. And that's a great place to be. But I know people that I very rarely see people that couldn't make a little bit extra income every month. So that leaves you with two other options. You can do it alone. Learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn how to analyze the right stocks, find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. Listen, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Option three is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the paycheck system in just a few weeks. You're going to have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So ask yourself, of those three options, which is going to be easier for you? You know, there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action to do anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never traded options before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options, because we show you exactly how to find, set up, and manage your option spreads to generate income, and how to do it safely and consistently in any market condition so you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through this experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you never have to fear options again. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or a bearish trade and when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your option income trades using a rules-based approach, and this is going to free up time in your life. You're going to be able to set up an income trade, so it gives you a statistical 70% or better success rate. Again, even if you've never traded options before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing the trade, so you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to be able to implement a system that allows you to safely and consistently generate income so you can begin to live the lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course itself is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is that consistent income system. Now, the first 2 modules, we call these the Option Income Foundation. We find that a lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base it on a very weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to and which to ignore so you don't waste time or get frustrated. Now in Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building that income system around these powerful new trades. Now that you got your foundation of options knowledge, we're going to now lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paycheck. Each step along the way, we're going to stack probability in your favor and reduce your risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. You're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade, a bearish trade, or even when not to trade. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. Here, you're going to make sure your trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades, they don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly from the beginning. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you've found the best stock, you set up your low-risk, high-probability trade, you mapped out your management game plan, time to place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps. You're going to commit to muscle memory in no time. Now, we put everything you need into a checklist. That way you don't miss any steps. When someone is first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And placing trades with your broker can be very intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we put together click-by-click directions for the most popular options broker, Thinkorswim. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, let me make it even more low risk for you. It's what I'm all about, stacking probability to reducing risk. So here's the biggest low risk thing you're going to see. We offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course and you get all your money back. It's completely no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes or watch the recordings of the classes. You don't have to do it live either. Do the assignments because we know if you do, you're going to see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. Now, the reason I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in and do the work and get the results. I want to attract those serious investors. In order to do that, when I make a really tight refund policy like this, I only attract those people who are serious about getting results. When you do the system, you're going to be learning a system that averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the options paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% win rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades. I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you again for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, I want to talk about this just a little bit. Joe took in 10 months 350 trades. That's 35 trades per month. That's a lot of trades. I don't trade that much. I average 10 to 15 trades a month typically with stocks and my index trades. We have traders like you saw earlier, Mike. Mike trades like 4 trades a month, 3 trades a month. The beautiful part about this system is it scales. You can have a $5,000 account. You can have a $100,000 account. You can trade 10 times a month. You can trade 40 times a month. It's up to you how much you want to put into it. Now, going back to Joe, if I had went back and asked Joe and said, hey, I'll give you $100,000 if you give me $2,000, do you think he'd take that trade? Would you take advantage of that? Well, I'm making you an offer like that you're going to see very soon here. But before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. This is serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put the time in to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full complete income generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we got a couple bonuses for you as well. Bonus 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. Now the Mastery Package includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week we're going to have 2 mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. Then on Friday I have an additional live Q&A. That means you're going to have 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The Mastery Package also includes private dedicated email support with me and my team. Additionally, if you don't already have it, we're going to give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro for the 2 months of the live curriculum. That way you can test drive the best tools on the planet to help you implement the option paycheck system. With this Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course so you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. Now, the second bonus is what we call implementation month. You're going to get access to our live trading sessions. During these sessions, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'm going to show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action, and you can follow along on your own account if you want to. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. You're going to see me trading at least 25 times using my account. Watching that repetition really helps cement the concepts and processes for our previous attendees. Now, if you're worried it might be too much and you're just starting out, I'm going to include this bonus. It's called the SPX Paycheck System. This is where I take the entire course and boil it down to something you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week. It's one trade. It's on one ticker symbol. It's got one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's simple. It's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do the trades. For many of my students, this is the only system they use. So as a recap, you're going to get the complete options paycheck training program, which includes 8 training modules, the videos, the checklist, the cheat sheets, the quizzes, the slides, the bonus mastery package, the implementation month, and the SPX paycheck system. Total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, together we'll create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand and help you install this option income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is only $12.95. However, you spent about an hour with me today. So here's what I want to do just for you. If you order before the end of the webinar today, instead of paying that $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means you're going to get the full course, 1 year of access to the course, the mastery package, the implementation month, all for $9.95. The $9.95 price is only available for those who register before we finish up this live session today. Once we finish, price goes right back to $12.95. So if you want to order, go to optionspaycheck.com. Now, listen, $9.95, I understand it's a cost, right? Well, remember, it's risk-free because we have that, that money back guarantee, right? Within a week of the end of the course, just let us know. We can refund your money. What's it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose by learning by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it actually worked for you? You know, there's an old saying, the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for a secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back on where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create that consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret this decision you're making. Don't miss the opportunity. I look forward to working with you in class. So again, all you got to do, www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the paycheck course before and you want the lowest price, now's the time. After the webinar, the price increases to $12.95. So don't wait or you're going to miss out. Go to www.optionspaycheck.com, fill in your details. And listen, if you know what's right for you, just let us know in the chat when I say, hey, Ron, I'm in. Later, we'd like to welcome you to the class by name. Now, before we break into our Q&A session, I want to cover a couple important things. Number one, when are the live sessions, Ron? It's a live class. When does it start? Good question. What if I miss a class? Well, first off, let's talk about when the class is. The class officially starts live Tuesday, July 30th. We have a welcome session just to kind of make sure you know where all the materials are, to introduce ourselves, make sure what the expectations are of everything, just to make sure you know what the class is all about and where all the materials are, right? On Wednesday the 31st, we're going to do the first mastery session. We do 2 sessions a week. So there's 8 modules. We want you to focus on 2 modules a week. The first week, we're going to talk about modules 1 and 2. The second week, 3 and 4, then 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Now listen, these are the live courses. You don't have to go to the live ones if you don't want to. All the material is already out there. You can watch all 8 modules in the next 3 days if you wanted to, if you sign up. But the live curriculum, we do 2 modules a week. You can come to as many of these live modules as you want to. You can come to none of them. Everything that we do is recorded, and you can access the materials and the recordings on our university site. In fact, let's say you have a question on Module 2. and you can't make the August 1st 4:30 class, no problem. Email me. Say, hey, Ron, can you talk about this tonight in the class? I'll talk about it. We record it. You can watch the recording. Perfect. So August is all about learning. September is all about doing. September starts implementation. We start with August 26th. We do our first live SPX and stock trading classes. You can see the times there. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, we are doing our office hours. Those office hour sessions where we will also go through the process of finding trades with you. We want to make sure you have repeated process to go through. I want you to get this like muscle memory built, okay? You can also ask us about trades. We can answer some questions. That's what the second month looks like. And again, all of these sessions are recorded. If you view them live with us, great. If you don't view them live with us, just watch the recording. That's cool too. No issues. One of our former clients, Greg, said, who took the course, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me. I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. My first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making the training program available. Now, earlier I saw a lot of you talk about how you're a beginner. That's fine. How much options experience do you really need? Well, we poll all of our prior attendees, and 85% of the course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. I like to put probability in my favor. I'm going to put probability in your favor. You have a high probability of success, even if you have never done this before. Just a few more of our former students. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot, and I believe in the options trade I'm doing. Cam says he made his initial investment back so many times over. Even though it's a small part of his portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake says, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some more of our more recent students. Neville, thanks for a wonderful course where within a short time you opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual, already paid for the tuition of the few 35 Delta trades. David, options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended all my years of VectorVest since 99. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning even easier. Great job. So now's the time. Get out there, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. After the webinar, the price goes back up to $12.95. Get in there at the $9.95 rate. The registration will close on July 30th. That's going to be your last time to log in and join. Get yourself signed up. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring my colleague in, Brian, and we are going to do some Q&A. So if you have any last minute questions or something that you haven't gotten answered yet, now's the time we're going to do it.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me in here.
No problem. Thank you, Brian.
Session. We had some people in the chat saying great information and thanks for the information. So they appreciate that. And so we have a handful of questions. I promised a bunch of people that I was going to ask you their question during the Q&A. So buckle up, Ron. We got a few questions for you. Let's see, John and Harris, and let's see, Michael and Jeffrey. Hold tight because I was going to have Ron do a little bit of show and tell first, because this actually helps a lot of people. It actually answers a lot of people's questions by showing what the course looks like. And I see a lot of people are typing in, hey, I just signed up. So this is going to be for you too. For those of you who have just signed up or thinking of signing up, Ron, would you be able to just kind of do a quick tour of what the course looks like on the inside?
Absolutely. Let me get it over here. So once you sign up, you're going to get a link to our university site. You're going to hear me refer to the university site a lot over the next 2 months. This is where we access all of the information. So you're going to see one kind of big video where you can hit play and you can watch all the videos, and that's great. But over here on the left, this is kind of like your table of contents, if you will. You're going to see a getting started video. Now, if I go to my live welcome recording, you're going to see it's going to be released July 31st. So, we're going to do that live on the 31st, and then we are going to record it, and you'll be able to see it. Now, the first thing I want you to do, though, when you come into the university site, go right here where it says Course Curriculum Checklist. I want you to click on that. What you're going to see now is a checklist. Now, as you scroll through that checklist, it talks about what we're going to do, and then it's going to give you just a checklist of what we want to make sure you do in every module. So in module number 1, make sure you watch the snapshot, all lessons 1 through 4. Watch the review, do the review questions, and do the action items. Now, I want to show you in module 1. If I open up the recorded lessons, snapshot, lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's where you check that you did all that. Right below that, the review questions. Okay, there's your review questions. Every module has action items. We want you to actually go out and start practicing. Well, you're not going to know how to do all the action items, right? You're new to this. So we have an action item video that you can watch where we actually show you how to do it. Then there's an FAQ section for frequently asked questions. And then lastly, there's a mastery session recording session. So if I open that guy up, you're going to see it says May 1st, 24. Ron, why does it say May 1st? Because we give you the ability, if you want to go and watch our prior session. So your first mastery session is not going to be till I think it was August 1st, if I'm not mistaken. Your first live mastery session is not till August 1st. But if you are, want to see it, you can actually go in there and watch the mastery session from my last class. And then that will be updated as the new ones come out in your paycheck class. Now, as you scroll down, you're going to see that every module is the same. Recorded, review, action walkthrough, FAQ, all the way down through all 8 modules. Okay? So you're going to get on this checklist just a little spot here for all 8 modules, then a little box you can write in questions if you want to that you need to have help with. Now, the important thing on this course curriculum checklist is down here in the last page. The last page gives you let me unzoom that a little bit. The last page gives you the live curriculum. Okay, so I was wrong. Wednesday, July 31st is actually the mastery module. Looks like we have a date up here that's incorrect under the live welcome. We'll have to fix that for that one. But under that curriculum checklist, this is your schedule of all of our live events. Now remember, all of these live events are going to be recorded for you. Okay, so if you can't view them, it's cool. You can watch the recording. Now, after all 8 modules in your table of contents, you're going to see the SPX trading system. This is where you can learn the SPX trade. Now, a lot of our users said that, they started with the SPX. They went in here, they watched the SPX paycheck. My advice would be to do the 35 Delta trade. That's the easiest trade for you to do. And listen, if you want to get started with trading fast, you can learn how to do this in as little as 15, 20 minutes. Now, what I will tell you about this, if you do the SPX first, okay, understand that you're not going to learn the whys. You're going to learn the whats. Here's what you do. Sell this option, buy this option. Here's your profit target. Here's this. Well, Ron, why do I sell that option? Why do I do that trade? That's what you're going to learn through the 8 modules. Okay, so the SPX is kind of its own pre-built thing where we just basically tell you what to do. Nothing wrong with that. Just understand that's what it's for. A little bit farther down, you're going to have your Q&As and office hours recordings all through the 8 weeks of the class. You're going to see the live trading sessions. You're going to see some Options Pro tutorials. Remember, you're going to get Options Pro and VectorVest if you don't have it for the months of August and September. Options Pro and VectorVest does not start until August and September. You don't need it yet. You really don't need it until the second week of the course. So we start at the beginning of the month due to exchange agreements and all that kind of stuff. That's the way we have to do it. And then we have a whole section of broker help videos, Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, Fidelity. Those are the videos that we have available. If you have a broker that's not listed there, I'm sorry, I don't have videos for that because I don't have access to that platform. I just have them for what I have. And then last but not least, you're going to see this webinar link area. If you open that up, this is where you're going to see links to all of our live shows. So what we do is 24 hours before a live event, we send out an email that says, hey, live event 24 hours from now. But I've been doing this a long time. I know that emails get put in clutter, spam, they disappear somewhere. That's why we have this here. So if you're like, my list says we have a live class in like an hour, I don't have a link. go right here. There's going to be all your links. You can just simply click on the class and it'll activate. Now, as we get in there, you're going to see these ones aren't quite activated yet because we're not close to those ones, but that's where you can do it. And then finally, under resources right here, this is where you're going to be able to access all the slides. So module 1, if you want to print out the slides, boom, click on that bad boy, and guess what? There's your slides. As you get further and further into the modules, like in module 7, you're going to see things like a position sizing worksheet. Module 8, you're going to see the stock credit spread checklist and all that kind of stuff. That's where you're going to find all of the downloadable resources for the curriculum. Okay, but that's the university site. That's going to be your home base for the next 2 months.
All right, perfect. Now, Michael has to jump out, but so I'm going to jump to his question, which you kind of answered there. But so Michael had said regarding watching the taped sessions, because he can't attend live. He says, regarding those watching those taped sessions, do you do live Q&A on that module's tape? Because he's traveling across 6 different continents. So maybe we could touch on, yeah, you do have a Q&A at the end of those, but like how you address, like there's an email that he could submit questions to, and the chat. Let's see, in the well, not that he not live, but he could go to the coaching room and type in some questions, but mainly through email is a great place.
Right.
But how would you address Michael, who's traveling and he won't be able to attend live?
Yeah, I mean, not a problem. You can email us. We have a private dedicated email. We'll answer you within 24 hours. And a lot of times what I'll do, I have a little program where I make videos for you. So if it's a question that I need to show you something on, I can send you like a 30-second video of what your answer is. Also, if it's something you want to see in one of the recordings, like, hey, say, hey, Ron, I'm doing this and I'm not quite sure. Can you show me how to do this in the module 2 session? You can't be there live for it, but I can still answer your question because in every one of those sessions, we have a Q&A section where we take questions from emails and things like that or live, and we can answer your question right there, and you'll be able to watch the recording at your leisure. So either email, where we try to answer within 24 hours, or you can send us and have us do it in the live session where you can watch the video.
All right. Quick reminder, the $9.95 is good while we're live here. It'll go up to $12.95 when we're done. By the way, we had some of you are asking, because you took the course years ago. So if you've taken this course before and you just wanted a refresher, let's say the course, you have access to all the materials for 12 months. And let's say the 12 months has gone by and it's like 2-3 years later and you're like, oh man, I just want a little refresher and kind of go through all those sessions again with Ron. We have a refresher rate, which is basically half price. You should have gotten an email with a special link just for you. So if you are one of our alumni of this course, you can get it for $4.95. You could always just call our office and they could help you out with that. But since we had a handful of you in today's session asking about it, I thought I'd address it verbally for all of you who have taken it before. If you have not taken it before, all you have to do is go to optionspaycheck.com, and there's just a big button on that page. It says register today or register now, and then you click on that. Oh, perfect. Oh, there you go. Right. It says register today. How about that? So you click on that, and then all you have to do is click buy now and save, and then you just go through the order process, and you're ready to go. And like Ron said, you get instant access to the materials, and you can start getting a head start on everybody else. All right. So, Ron, I promised a few other people answers to their questions. This one you actually answered a moment ago when we were answering Michael's question, because we have another gentleman who's traveling. He is a pilot, which actually is, I think you've mentioned, maybe not today, but you always mentioned it's pilots make one of your best students.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got John who says, I'm a pilot and my schedule is never consistent. His main question is, how can this work for me? So I'm going to have you answer that 2 different ways, Ron. How can taking this course work for him? Like, can he still be successful, like, and learn in the course? But I'm also going to think he's asking a question about the future. Like, can he still implement an income system if he has an inconsistent schedule?
Definitely. We have a lot of pilots. We have a lot of folks that travel a lot. And the key is, I'll just be upfront and honest with you. It's going to depend on your broker. Your broker is going to do a lot of the work for you. you're going to want somebody like an IB or a Thinkorswim or a Tasty Trade, something like that that's going to have a little bit more automation to it. You're going to be able to put trades on when you have time to do it. All the orders that we do are set up ahead of time, as long as you have a good broker that supports it. You're going to be okay. We have a lot of clients that do this, and like Brian said, we actually have a lot of pilots. Pilots have been like my number one best traders out there, because you're used to following guidelines, checklists, and you're used to doing things by a book. You're very mechanical oriented. So the trading part you can do at your leisure. It's not that big of a deal. The class I think is even easier, because you're going to have access to a year of this information. So you can watch a video here and there, start implementing. You don't need any special software or anything for certain. Your broker can take care of that situation too. So you don't have to attend the live courses. If you can, great. If you can't, you can't. With all the material out there, you're going to be fine. And like I said, trading wise, when you have time to trade, you do it. Put your trades on. I would probably focus on the SPX trade, because it's a very simple trade. You could set your broker up for that. It's very easy to do. And then, as you have more time, maybe you have a week or two off, maybe you have a week, you can do some stock trades too. But the nice thing is, it's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's customizable to what, you need to do.
All right. Next up, Ron. We actually had a gentleman who is overseas in Australia. So I think we could kind of swallow up this with everybody who is not in the United States. So if somebody is in Canada or Australia or wherever on the planet, is what you taught here today something that they could do as well?
Yes. Now, I will tell you that, the US option market is the biggest options market in the world. So, a lot of your opportunities are going to be in the US. However, we have a lot of clients who are in Canada and in Australia. Now, everything I teach you is applicable to any option anywhere you trade it. So I'm not going to teach you anything that's like proprietary that only works in the US. You can apply this concept to any options market in the world. So we have people that trade Australian options. There's not a ton of them there. Canadian, London. You can apply this to any exchange.
All right. Well, I only had, I think, a couple more, Ron, here. A couple of other questions, but a quick reminder for everybody is that the $9.95 is good while we are live here today. That'll go away. It'll go back up to $12.95. Registration closes on July 30th in the morning, because Ron has his first live session that afternoon. And Ron, the date that you saw that when you were inside the course, it said the 31st, because it would take us about 24 hours to get the recording uploaded into the site. That's why we had the date a day after.
Okay, cool.
But a lot of times, John and Ian, our teammates in the background who you don't hear, they're a lot quicker than that. So a lot of times they'll get things uploaded into the course well in advance of 24 hours, but we like to give ourselves a little bit of cushion to get those things up there. All right, so Ron, we had some from Sese wanted to know, is there a broker in the list that you prefer?
Any of those brokers in that list are fine. I will tell you, I use Thinkorswim from Schwab. I like that. I've used it for a long time. That's the broker I prefer. I just recently opened up an account with Tasty Trade, so I'll let you know how I like that in a couple of months. I'll do a couple of trades here and there with them, but I prefer Thinkorswim. It's just a good platform that lets me do all kinds of cool stuff. So that's my preference.
All right. Now, we did have a question from John W., who wants to know, is the $9.95 price good until July 31st at the deadline? Well, first off, the deadline is July 30th in the morning. Now, the $9.95 for most people is only good while we are live here. We do have a status at VectorVest for members who have been with VectorVest for a long time. They're called elite subscribers. They've achieved elite status. Elite members get discounts all the time. So if you are an elite member with VectorVest, then the $9.95 rate would be good all the way until the registration closes. But if you're not, then the $9.95 is good while we are live here today, and then it'll go to $12.95. Okay. Now, of course, I mentioned before, if you've already taken the course before, you get an alumni rate, which if you have a question about that, just let us know in the chat. Okay. Let's see. So Ron, I'm scanning back through. If somebody else has a question that we did not address, let it get into the chat, because you have about 60 seconds and we're about to
I think there's often a
up.
perception.
Kathleen, you're in Canada. Of course, we're not in Canada, so we don't have direct use of the Canadian softwares. Some people use Questrade, but we've heard some things about with Questrade in the reporting on taxes, how it could be a little bit difficult if you're trading US dollars as well. Some people use TD Ameritrade. Well, I guess they might have been, well, TD Bank, I guess, up in Canada. But Ron, I'll just point this over to you. Would you deal more directly with your clients? Kathleen is in Canada. Says the broker is through Royal Bank, and she's not a big fan. I have started moving some accounts over to Questrade. I couldn't sell puts on RBCs, so limited with options. So Kathleen says, any recommendations for brokers with Canadian support?
Yeah, from what I hear, Questrade, IB is really good. Interactive Brokers, they're a really good one. You know, most of the people that I talk to in Canada are either with Questrade or Interactive Brokers. They're really the two big ones up there, from what I know.
And I really appreciate Harris reminded me that Harris, I promised Harris that I would get to his question, and I totally forgot. So thank you, Harris, for that reminder. So let me scroll back. It was a question about the SPX trading system, Ron, to kind of get your head around that topic. So Harris says, let's say a student is just trading the SPX. Mm-hmm. Harris wants to know, what is it like a conservative monthly expectation? I hate to set an expectation because you showed there's some fluctuations. You could have some periods where it goes flat for several months, but on average, Harris wants to know if he's just trading the SPX, what kind of expectation would he expect?
Right. I mean, you know, I always like to say an average of 2 to 3% on the SPX. Now, remember, not every month is going to be profitable. You're going to have some months of drawdown too. You know, I would say, you know, in my typical trading, drawdown is going to be anywhere from like 1 to 3% when you have drawdown. Profits are going to be generally anywhere from like 3 to 6% when you have a good trading month. So, you know, overall net, it's probably going to be, like I said, you know, 2 to 3% per month, you know, on average, when you consider all the drawdowns and you consider the gains and stuff as well. So hopefully that makes sense.
All right. So with that, Mr. Wheeler, I think we are all set to wrap up for the night. So I'm going to pass it over to you, because we're excited. We're always excited to teach the Options Paycheck course, because we get the feedback from the surveys afterwards. I know you get the direct feedback from people in the course, but to see the surveys come in after the course ends and just reading the words of people who say, well, this was the best course I've ever taken, going through that implementation month where you actually going step by step through things, and just to see the excitement and read the excitement, it invigorates us and energizes us to do these each time. So Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you to wrap things up for the evening.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you to John in the background, who was helping me out with questions and helping Brian out with questions. Appreciate that. And a special thanks to really all of you. Thank you for spending this hour and a half with me. I definitely appreciate it. I hope I really opened your eyes into some great new ways to create income. So for those of you that signed up, I'm looking forward to working with you over the next 2 months. It's going to be a great time. We're gonna do really well together, I promise. And if you have any questions, by all means, get a hold of us. Let us know and see what we can do to help you make that decision. But with that, I'll bid you all a farewell. Thanks again for attending, and I hope to see you all in a couple weeks as we launch our Options Paycheck experience. So thanks again, everybody, and have a great night.